Welcome everyone to the Nikki Smash Show. I hope you're well. I am joined by Scottish legend. People write books and stories, and there's probably a couple of films about this man. It's mother effing Big Al.
I'm in a couple of films.
Oh, you watch films you're in?
Well, technically, I'm in Shaun of the Dead.
What?
You know the scene when they're in the pub getting
Yeah,
drunk, and they're talking about the barman being a gangster,
yeah.
and the rifle above the bar, and they says it must be real because Big Al says so. That's actually a reference to me.
No way.
Yeah,
Dude, that's so good. I never knew that.
yeah.
That's so good.
I think because Simon and Nick used to share a flat in London with Michael Smiley, who's a really good mate of mine.
Right.
And I used to stay down, if I was in London for anything, I always stayed at their house. And we went out one weekend I think this is where it came from, because there's a whole bit about dogs can't look up.
Yeah.
We went to Walthamstow to the greyhound racing, and last minute got a bit of a tip. It was one of those, however much money you've got, put it on this dog.
Yeah.
And we did. We won a fucking fortune and got very, very drunk. And I think it might have come from that night, but I don't know. But yeah, when the film was coming out, Simon sent me a text message and just said, "Look out for your part in the film," which really confused me.
Because I don't recall filming anything.
Yes.
Amazing. Fucking hell. Well, that's probably the best introduction I've had on the show so far. You can't, ladies and gentlemen, that was it. 2 minutes in and we're done, I think. You can't top that, But before we were talking just off air a second ago about the transformation of the music industry and NFTs, which we will totally get into. But
yeah.
There isn't much you haven't done in the industry, is there?
Well, a lot of people would say there's not much I've done right in the industry because I've moved from thing to thing to thing.
Depends who you ask, man.
Started off like a lot of people do, just humping guitar cabs for a mate's band, and moved from there into working local crew, picked up bits of work for different sound and light companies, then started working for one of the big promoters up in Scotland, crewing, like being like a crew boss and stage manager, then moved on to repping shows. And then from there went into touring, doing tour management, stage management, production management. So yeah, there's been a bit of everything. I mean, everything from little toilet tours to doing arenas and yeah, bits of everything.
Yeah, and somehow in the middle of all that, you got the short straw of working with the Claydon brothers.
They're not that bad compared to some of the people I've worked with, but yeah, they are. Mark's fine. John's an asshole.
Maybe we should have like a reunion get together, but on the show.
Yeah.
We should totally do that. Well, that's where we met, wasn't it? Like, was that 2018?
What are we in now? 21, 19.
No, it's earlier than that.
No. Was it?
Yeah.
The last tour we did was 19.
Well, I think the last Pitch Shifter one was November 2018. And then it was Mark's 50th in 19, which is where we was it? I think
I'm getting mixed up now.
Shite. That's what happens, isn't it? Touring does you.
It does. I thought it was 19 because we didn't do anything last year because of COVID, and then we're waiting to see if we're going to get to do it again this year or not.
Well, yeah, I don't know. Well, we'll be out, probably out together again when we do that. But
yeah,
Christ, man, like
you can be the family. Are you going to be the family chauffeur again?
Probably, yeah. If JS pays me enough.
He pays people now.
Well, I mean, yeah. I think my day rate will increase. You know,
Yes.
got more members of the family to feed now, so I've got to be like,
Yeah.
come on, boys.
Yes.
Yeah, man. Well, that was nuts, that tour.
That was
Finding that
nice
old.
because having kind of given up touring because it just there comes a point where depending on what level you're at, you either submit to the fact that it's just going to make you nuts, or you take a step back from it. And I took a step back from it.
Yeah.
But I'm also, I mean, everybody in the band is getting to that age where, pardon me, none of us are young anymore.
Well, we had that sports
Yeah.
therapist massage on every day, and
Yeah.
we were all fucked.
Well, that's because after the first show and everybody went hell for leather and everybody woke up the next morning remembering that we're all old and we can't do it anymore.
What was my excuse, man?
I don't
I
know.
fell down the stairs in the garage in the rehearsal day,
Yeah.
off the trying to move that fucking Ampeg, and
Yes.
went, and I was like, with Gary going, what are you doing down there? And I'm like, I'm in a lot of pain.
Yeah. You could tell in the first show that Mark was going to be knackered the next day because he just went for it.
Yeah, he was like literally like a dog out the chops, you know. It was just like,
Yeah.
Christ, yeah.
And then, of course, everybody being back together again, you're the first night on the bus, everybody has a bit of a skinful, and you wake up the next morning, you're lying in your bunk, and it's 6 o'clock in the morning, and you've only been asleep for 4 hours, and you need to pee, but you can't be bothered getting up to pee because everything hurts so much. And that's that point you remember. It's like, now I remember why I stopped doing this.
Yeah. And that was a straightforward tour.
Yeah.
That was a really straightforward tour.
It was fine. I don't think any of us could have managed more than 7 days, though.
Yeah, it was. You didn't even go far, man. We only went like Portsmouth to Nottingham.
Yeah. I remember one of the Pitch Shifter tours we did 27 shows in 28 days. And strangely enough, the only day we had off was John's birthday.
Oh, yeah. Was it
funny that?
Yeah. Yeah. That sounds like JS.
Yeah.
Christ alive, man. Christ alive. Well, it was funny actually because after that tour, I was out on the road supporting Massive Wagons, and we ended up playing the Garage in Scotland.
Yeah.
Amazing venue.
Yes.
And they have the best road crew I've ever come across.
Yeah.
You know, and it's one of those things where our bass player at the time was just like, dude, these guys are fucking nuts. They're like just lugging gear like it's nothing, you know. And I said, yeah, well, the first time I met this guy on the Pitch Shifter tour, he was holding a 4x12 in one hand. And this guy turns around and goes, that sounds like Big Al. And I went, it was.
They're a great bunch of guys up there.
Yeah, it was a great venue, man. They're really good guys. But yeah, it's just like, Christ, man, he's more famous than the bands of Big Al, you know.
I was doing a gig in there one day, and it was a band from Australia called, what were they called? I think it was Frenzal Rom. And the band they just loaded everything in. They were pottering about on stage, and I was just dicking about with the crew guys. And I could see one of the guys keeping looking at me. And I was like, there's something going on here. What's going on? And I just kind of wandered over and I went, are you all right? And he went, is your name Big Al? And I went, yeah. He's like, heard all about you in Sydney. I'm like, I've never been to Sydney. He's like, no. Everybody said if you're going to Scotland, see if you can find Big Al.
It's like, how tall are you?
6'7".
Fucking hell, man. Like, just it's you gave me a bad neck on that. I was just constantly like that, like staring up, you know. It's awful.
Still stand a little bit further back.
Yes. Yeah, of course. Oh man. Wow, man, that reminds me. Do you remember at Mark's birthday, right, in Bristol? When he fucking fell down the stairs.
Yeah.
He sent me next day a picture of his ass. it was just black. I don't know why I've just remembered that, but I think it was to do with him talking about height and stuff. And
Yeah.
that tiny staircase to get into that place, that little barge thing. I just remember him disappearing through the depths of it. Like, you still there, mate? Going through fucking hell, dude. Oh, shit.
Yeah. Andy Mountain, who used to be the drum tech for Feeder,
Yeah.
I did some shows with them, pissed out of his face on the bus one night, trying to get into his bunk, trying to take his... You shouldn't laugh, but you can't help it. Trying to take his jeans off just as somebody in a car on the motorway cut the bus up, so the bus driver slammed the brakes on. And Andy comes head first down the bus stairs with his trousers and his underpants round his ankles and ends up, because you know how cramped that space is.
Oh, it's horrible.
Ends up like upside down with his legs in the air, with his arse hanging out, just going, "What's happening? What's happening?"
Oh, shit, man. People think that being in the back of tour buses is like this glamorous, you know,
No.
It's not much better than a van. It really isn't, you know.
No. There's a little bit more space to move about, but once everybody, because I mean, on average, a bus has got 12, 14 people on it.
Yeah.
There's not that much space inside. And once you've got people's jackets and hopefully just small bags, not big bags, they should all be in the bay.
When people start bringing holdalls,
you run out of space really quickly.
Yeah. Yeah.
Somebody once said to me that the prisoners on death row in the States legally have twice as much space as the average person has on a tour bus. Like the size of the cells that they have to give them, like as a human right, which doesn't surprise me.
I heard a story once that Tony Wright from Terrorvision and Like a Dog was on tour so much and just got so confined to being in that tiny space, which people think like you got this, you know, lavish bed or whatever, but you got this tiny letterbox that you got to sift into, you know, with a tiny curtain, you know, which doesn't leave much to the imagination anyway. And apparently he had something built, like a small box, so he could like wean himself off being on tour. I think it was Mark that told me that, but I've heard a few stories of people like that.
When I used to get it, you'd when you get home from a tour, it was almost like trying to persuade your partner to lie awake at night and just rock you gently so that you would go to sleep, because you get so used to the motion of the bus that it does. It's like a baby. It rocks you to sleep.
Yeah, hopefully. And it's weird being like horizontal in it as well. That's one thing that like always used to like throw me. I mean, I haven't been on many. I've only been on like one or two, but I remember that whole thing of just being sideways.
Yeah.
Just rocked in, you know, it does. There's something soothing about it, definitely, you know, but like, you can't like wiggle about and stuff. Well, you certainly bloody can't.
No, the people used to say you could always tell which bunk was mine because there was 1 foot sticking out the bottom. Yeah. Because on most standard bus bunk is 6'6" long.
Yeah.
So you kind of, something has to stick out.
Yeah. Might as well be your foot, mate.
Although Beat the Street used to have a bus. Another famous Scottish legend, Gordon Patterson, Gungy, who was 7'2", who worked for. Well, last time I saw him, he was doing System of a Down. Died from cancer, but they had. They specifically altered one of their buses so that the bunk at the top of the stairs, the top bunk above the stairs, stretched out another 8 inches over the top of the stairwell so that he could get in it.
Fucking hell. What do they feed you up there?
Haggis.
Haggis. Fucking hell.
Haggis and anything deep fried.
Yes. I had a deep fried Mars bar. It was amazing, but I did feel like my arteries were clogging.
Yeah.
because they probably were.
You just got to be careful when you bite into it that it's not still like lava inside.
Oh yeah, yeah. When I was doing when I played at Bannerman's in Edinburgh, one of the bands I was with was like, oh, I'm gonna get a fucking battered Mars bar. Went in and did the same thing. Was like, oh, I can't wait to bite into it. And before the guy could say, wait,
Yeah,
burnt the side of his mouth. It was like, oh,
it's not pleasant.
no. Well, you deep fry everything up there, even iron brew.
Yes, deep fried pizza, Scottish delicacy.
Deep fried pizza.
Yeah,
That sounds amazing.
yeah. Especially if you do it like a light coating and batter first. It's called a pizza crunch. It goes all crispy.
That's well, mate. I know who's going to be doing catering on the next tour. Then,
Yeah.
all right.
Well, it's just a shame when we're not doing any shows in Scotland, or we could have some fine cuisine.
Yeah, is it going to Scotland? The next one?
Don't think so.
Fucking, they're too afraid to cross the border these days.
Yeah, John's not allowed. He's not got a visa.
Probably not. No, bloody American. You know, is he American now?
I think he's officially a resident alien.
A resident alien.
Talking of which, have you seen that show yet?
No.
Resident Alien.
No.
Watch it.
Is it good?
I think it's on the Sci-Fi Channel. And it's basically an alien who crash lands in the back of beyond in like Montana and ends up being the town doctor.
What the fuck?
It's mental. It's absolutely mental. He's got this whole thing of the whole like plotting to kill a 5-year-old child the whole way through it. It's just one of those proper kind of off the wall things that you spend the whole of the first episode going, what?
What the fuck is this? Yeah, I have to watch the first episode like 20 times to like get through it all. Yeah.
It's nice to have a show that isn't completely formulaic.
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
Definitely give it a go.
Well, as we were talking off air before about NFTs and stuff.
Yes.
Talking about the man himself, old Jess, when he gave me, like I said, he gave me the call the other day and he was like, NFTs, bruv, and telling me all about it. Kind of like, what do you make of it all? You said you've done some.
I literally, today, somebody mentioned it and I was like, I've heard the term before, but I'm going to start investigating. And from what I can gather, it's blockchain technology, so it's the same kind of backbone as Bitcoin and cryptocurrency uses.
Yeah.
But it means, if I'm getting this right, it means a band can release something that only the person it's registered to can listen to it.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah, I think that's it, because
so you can't share it about like a MP3 file or anything.
No, and if you can, it will be obvious that it's not the original.
Right.
Because there's there's metadata and blockchain technology attached to it. So what I've been learning, and I had a brief 20-minute chinwag with JS, what he was saying about how it all works is, I don't think it can be properly done with audio as of yet. It's close.
Yeah.
I think it's more of like, you got to treat it as like, here you can stream the album, but here's a limited edition vinyl. It's kind of on that kind of pathway at the moment, but digitally. So there's ways that I've seen it. So you could have things like the album was mixed and mastered here.
Yeah.
But you could mix and master it by someone else and it sound completely different, but that's only available as an NFT.
Okay.
So you could say, like, arguably the best way to listen to this record is through NFT. So you're like, okay, cool. So it's like special edition, things like that. And what you need to do is you need to find a way of like having a stamp of authenticity on it. So you can have anything you could take, but it's all digital.
Yeah.
That's the thing with it. So that's why it works really well with art and like album covers and stuff, because if they make a digital, like tattoo artists are now getting on it. You know, they have those like digital tablets that they draw on and stuff.
Yeah.
So they create through there, and then what they do is they kind of authenticity or authentically get their artwork stamped by registered, whatever it is. I can't remember what this place is called, but they get it registered.
Yeah.
And then it's like hosted in like a online security bank or something, and then you then sell it, but it's not, you sell it as Ethereum, and it's kind of, so if you like, one ETH is $2,000.
Yeah.
So each coin is roughly around about $2,000. So you do it by decimal points. So 0.001 of an ETH would be like $25 or something. And you can kind of stretch it from any price point. But there has to be, the thing that I think people are getting a bit confused with it is that people are like, oh yeah, this is the future, musicians are going to be rich again. But there has to be a demand. Otherwise, it's not worth anything.
Yeah.
So Kings of Leon, their new record, has been done in NFT. So if you can buy the record normally, absolutely. If you buy it from them as an NFT, it's, you get 2 lifetime tickets to any gig in the world, forever.
Okay.
Like, you're first on the list. If you just call them up and go, oh, I want these tickets for there, they just go, yeah, cool. Like front row.
It's not a bad idea. It just depends how they can make it work.
Yeah, and that's where it's like, well, that's not something digital. That's, you've bought a digital something or other, but you get a physical, like a contract basically. So it's quite, it's interesting, but it's a bit like, fuck, I can't see how it benefits smaller artists, because there's no demand for them to create anything of like high value, because they're not worth anything. We're not worth anything. That's a bit emo, but you know what I mean.
It'll be interesting to see how it develops, but I think the thing that file sharing did, apart from, I was going to say destroying the music industry, but it hasn't, because the music industry will always find a way to survive.
Well, it's making more money than it's ever made at the moment.
Yeah. It made people realize that there has to be a different way to do things, and more artists are taking risks and doing things in a different way. A lot of them aren't going to be successful, but it's also meant that more artists can get stuff out there, because you're not, the internet in general, where you look at things like Bandcamp, and even when MySpace was a thing. You old enough to remember MySpace?
Oh yeah, man, I was all over MySpace. I loved it.
It takes away the thing that the record companies had, which I'm not saying it's a bad thing, it's gone, was they had a giant shit filter in the A&R guys.
Yeah, the quality control bar.
Yes.
Yes.
Wasn't always the best thing in the world.
No.
Because a lot of bands who probably should have got signed didn't, because they're not looking at the quality of the music, they're looking at the commercialism of it.
Yeah.
However, the flip side of that, and there is always a flip side, for every good idea there's a bad idea. Is there's nothing to stop anyone who wants to releasing music now.
Yeah, it's like your nan can release a song.
Yeah, that's not a bad thing. However, it means there's infinitely more absolute shite out there.
Yeah.
That you have to troll through to find something good.
Yeah.
And especially with the way that the technology's gone, that every man and their dog in their bedroom with a keyboard can put something together. Yes, you never know what you're going to find, what piece of genius you're going to find. But there's a lot of people putting music out there thinking they deserve something because they used 10 samples from a loop pack that they paid 50 quid for.
Yeah,
And I know
exactly.
that's going to, a lot of people will probably be watching going, oh my God, I can't believe he's saying that. But it's a
It's true
fact.
though. It's true, man. You know, the quality control of everything is gone, and that's where, like, yeah, like you said, you know, it's gone too far the other way now, where it's like, actually, you know, oh, cool, I don't need a label. Brilliant. I'm in a position where I can record, and, you know, instead of like handing out my record to labels, I can bypass that and still get
Yeah.
it out. So you're like, brilliant, cool. So my distribution deal is digital, and I can get it out to everywhere in the world. Brilliant. But then when you know that there's like the crazy frog,
Made a lot
you
of
know,
money.
yeah, right, you know, doing the same thing with no labels, no, nothing attached to it, and
Yeah.
you're like, that's that is the kick in the balls, isn't it? Because
Yeah.
you're not able to. Well, you have to fight that shit as much as you got to, where before you got to think like, well, my competitors are still Foo Fighters or something like that when I'm releasing material. You know, like, well, actually, you know, before I can even think about going anywhere near that kind of realm, I've got to get through, you know, some indie band or some shit, you know, who have got like, you know, no money and no talent and no nothing, and they've
Yeah.
made some noise and they've released it. And on a musician to musician level, it's like, hats off to you. Anyone who can pick up an instrument and do something with it has my respect.
Yeah.
But when you're trying to, you know, when you're trying to have a kickabout with Ronaldo on a Sunday league pitch, he's still, you know, it doesn't matter where it is, he's still Ronaldo and he's going to do well. But, you know, taking taking that kind of example into music just doesn't fly now. Everything's on, you know, it's like when you get weird cup draws in sport where you get like Man United versus like fucking, I don't know, Wigan Town or some shit. You know what I mean? Like, you know, and you're like, cool, yeah, that's like that's a balanced matchup, you know. But that's kind of the playing field, isn't it? You know, that's literally the music playing field equivalent, like with all this stuff. And yes, sometimes stuff gets through, and you're like, wow, that's wicked. And it is just you like some kid in a bedroom, and you think, well, there's obviously some talent there because he hasn't got Abbey Road at his fingertips, but he's doing something and it's good. But the problem with one of those kids, there's 10,000 others making shit. You
Yeah.
know, I remember when I first got onto Kerrang TV and Scuzz TV in like 2009, 2010, might even be before that. And it was Alex Heron at the time. He was doing all that stuff through Sky Music and stuff. And I always remember this email from him. We sent it to him like, check out our video. We've made a video. Could you play it? And he sent back saying, you were the last email of a batch of 500 shit bands. And he said, finding you was worth every 499 shit band to find you guys. And I was like, fuck, that's so good. But
Yeah. But you
but that
still had
doesn't
to go
happen.
through those
You still
499
have to
bands
go
to find
through
you.
them. That's it. But the thing is now, it's like there isn't 499. There's like 400,099 to get to, and there's still only one good one.
Yeah.
It's not like there's 10 good ones from that. You know, the ratio is just far off now. So I don't know how the industry as a whole can like reel that back in somehow. You know, but you don't want to give the power back. You know, to quote Rage Against the Machine. You know, you
No.
don't want to give it all
But then
back.
the I think because I've been in the industry at so many different levels and seen so many different sides of it, a lot of the time, yes, the record companies are taking a big gamble, but it's also weighted in their favor that if it pays off, they're going to make big out of it.
Yeah.
But it's the same with you get bands that will slate promoters for how much they get paid for a gig. It's like, well, the promoter's the one that's taking all the risk here.
Yeah.
If you don't want to be doing a gig and being paid 50 quid because you've only done 4 gigs. Put on your own gig.
Yeah, do it yourself then.
See how much money you can lose.
Yeah, yeah. Oh my god, man. Yeah, that's a thin line again. Doing that stuff. There's always that thing of regardless of how big or small you are, whenever you're trying to get up the next bit of the ladder, from a 50 cap venue to 100 cap, 150, 200, you feel like, okay, cool, I've done this capacity now. Here's the next step. And it's the same thing. It's the door's the same, at every turning point where they're like, why should I take a risk? And he's like, well, we can sell out that. And they're like, doesn't mean shit to me, mate.
Yeah.
And you're like, cool. I could make more money playing to less people. That doesn't make sense. I don't know. It is a gamble like that, isn't it? You're right. But people do get funny with that now, don't they? And I fell into that.
There's a lot of people get into it for the music and don't realize that it's the music business.
Yes.
The second word being the important word in that phrase.
Well, people go, music is from the soul. It's from, yeah, it is. But, you got to put some money somewhere.
Yeah.
And people forget that, they think, I think that's a generational thing now as well, actually. I see it a lot. Well, I teach, and lecture and stuff. And so you see it in some people where they haven't done anything. They haven't even done a show. And then they're mid-20s or something. And then you go, the world doesn't owe you shit, mate.
Yeah.
And the industry doesn't owe you shit either. It's like I always coin this phrase now because Ace Skunk Anansi told it to me, and he was like, dude, the world owes us nothing and we'll take it in abundance. And it's like, yeah, it's so true. And the people that don't realize that, when they're like, well, I've got 30,000 plays on Spotify, and it's like, cool. Any of that 30,000 going to turn up to the show?
Yeah. How many of them were your mum?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Sticking the song on repeat and turning the volume off and going to bed, all that stuff. Well, there was a band that did that, right? I can't remember who it was. Where they were making a point about,
a few people have done it,
where they released 10 tracks of like 3 minutes of silence. And they said, just put this on repeat. And then they got paid for it. And it's like, okay.
Well, you got to give them props for the way that they found a way to bend the system.
Yeah, I suppose that's the business, the business bend and as it all.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's, all that. I mean, even that's convoluted now, where you're getting online distributors pulling people off Spotify if they think there's foul play, which they should, well, maybe not pull them off, but maybe just reset their plays to 0 or something. But like, yeah, you're seeing it all over the place now. Like there was one of my students was telling me that in I think it's Sweden, some guy bought like 2 million streams. So at the end of the week, he was number 1.
Yeah.
For a day. But got the number 1.
Yeah, it's
just like brilliant.
Somebody will always find a way around the system.
Yeah.
That's going to be the thing with the NFTs is how long is it going to be before somebody finds a way around it?
Well, yeah, I mean,
it's harder and harder and harder to do, but
I mean, I'm not like a tech guy in that way, and I'm only just understanding the idea of blockchaining and things like that myself and how I could implement that, not for like money, but like just keeping with the times. And, it's always that fear of like, don't want to be left behind. I don't have management or anything anymore, and I'm not with a label and stuff anymore. So I'm totally I'm me, and with Patreon and stuff, but
you don't want to be like your dad that every time you go to visit him, you have to explain to him how to set the VCR.
If people,
but it happens. I see it now. Hamish is almost 6, and he does stuff on my iPad that I don't know how to do.
Yeah. It's like my stepdaughter.
We were sitting the other day.
Stuff on there, and I haven't a fucking clue what she's doing.
Yeah.
And she's like, don't you know what, do this, do that, and then you could do that. And I'm like, I have no, where did you even have the time to learn that? Like,
Yeah.
where's that come from? Yeah. God damn it, man.
We're getting old.
Are we old now?
Yeah.
Shit.
Well, I am.
I'm
How old are you
34.
now?
I'm gonna be 35 this year, mate.
Well, yeah.
I'm over the hill now.
Yeah. I'm 53 this year.
So, see, man, you still got legs, mate. You had a
Well,
wee game.
I see. I am now officially the weird dad at school
Why is that?
because we like you do the drop offs in the morning, and it's all uh, there's. I mean, I don't know an awful lot of the other parents, but it's like Range Rover, BMW. There's a guy with a Lexus. There's an Audi, and it's quite a well off bunch of people, and there's doctors and all sorts. And I turn up at 53 and I'm still wearing band t-shirts and shorts like I'm on my way to a gig.
Yeah, damn right. Yeah. Well, I
We
turn up with
still,
my nails painted and stuff, and all the people are going, "Oh, it's a bit weird, isn't it?"
yeah, we
Yeah.
still run about and scream and shout at each other in the car park, and you can see the slightly terrified looks on some of the parents' faces.
Yeah.
But that's fine. I don't care.
Yeah, I've never really, politely to other parents, I've never really parented like that.
Yeah.
Just do my bit and then go, it's, part of being a musician is meeting random people all the time anyway. And
Yeah.
school drop off is a day off for that.
Yeah.
It's not a time when you can be like, oh, hi, how's little so-and-so? It's like, I don't want to know, mate. No, don't want to know. I've got my own shit to kind of deal with, dude.
But it's weird. You see that like the parents have all got their own little groups.
Yeah. I'm not
like
part
that
of
one. I'll talk to that one, but they won't talk to them over there.
This one. Yeah. It was like I remember when I took my son to Air Cadets once years ago when we just released our second record, and someone had it in their car. And they put the window down and they're playing it really loud. They're like, all right, mate. And I was like, you're right. And he's like, look, you're like pointing out. And I'm like, yep, I'm well aware what you're doing. Thanks. Makes me feel a bit weird. You're like, I appreciate it. That's really nice of you. I really do. It's lovely that you've taken the time to do that.
Yeah.
But in the car park at 10 o'clock at night, picking up all the kids from Air Cadets, and you're blaring my song at a deafening volume in your car. I'm like, and I was in a Prius at the time. Do you know what I mean? So it was like, yeah.
We do it a lot if I go and pick him up from school. It's there's the little kids class the year before him, and then his lot come out, and then the ones who are a year older come out, and they're like staggered by like 5 minutes. So by the time there's loads of parents sitting there, and everybody's, as long as it's not raining, everybody's out of their cars and they're milling around in the car park. And a lot of the time, Hamish will jump into the car and he'll just go, "Daddy music."
Yes.
And it's like, that's my cue. Windows down.
Let's do it.
Turn it up. What can I find that's not too offensive?
Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah.
But it's like, if they think I'm weird, I'm quite happy to play up to that.
I'm quite happy to play up to the.
I don't mind.
Yeah, I'm cool with being like the token goth parent. I kind of like that.
Nobody should be happy being a goth. Come on now.
I'm quite smiley.
You've just taken that a bit too far.
Oh, have I? But I'm quite a smiley goth.
There's no such thing, surely.
I know. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, turn that smile upside down. Yeah. Well, fucking hell, yeah, man. School runs are weird for that shit, man. Anyway, innit? It's just I don't really. Yeah, like we're saying, I can't really adjust to all that stuff. I'm just not. I'm not part of the cool crowd, man. Do you know what I mean? Never have been. I think.
Don't strive to be. No,
yeah, that's it. I've always been that, bit left of center, as they say. So yeah.
There's nothing wrong with that.
Nah.
Don't be another sheep.
Yeah,
be a lion.
Yeah. That's it, mate. That's it. Yeah. Fucking hell. So, what's kind of one of those tour moments where you just go, "What the fuck am I doing?"
South America.
South America.
Yeah. Yeah, I've been twice. Once with Halloween,
Yeah.
which was actually good fun, but just mad. And the second time with Cradle of Filth, which was just fucking nuts.
Oh my god.
The Halloween one was fine. It was all very well organised. It all ran reasonably smoothly. You always get a couple of little hiccups, but nothing serious apart from getting arrested in Colombia. But basically, we got off the plane,
Which
went
wall
to
did you piss on?
immigration. We all had visas, fresh
Right.
visas in our passports, and the guy at the immigration desk just looked at them and went, "These aren't valid." We're like, "What? We got them a week ago." And he's like, "No." And we all got herded off into a room, and we got locked in a room for it was like 8 or 9 hours.
Fuck that.
Yeah, while they sorted it all out.
And were they legit?
They were. It was just we reasonably sure it was a money making scam.
All right.
But it ended up with the promoter took everybody's passports because you can't have a Colombian visa issued in Colombia because they don't have the facilities to do it. Because you're supposed to have a visa before you get there. So while we were locked in a room under armed guard at the airport, the promoter took all of our passports, got on a plane, flew to whatever the next door country was. I can't even remember which one it was now. To go to the Colombian embassy to get them to issue us new visas, got back on the plane, flew back into Cali, and got us all out of lockdown.
Fuck that, dude. Christ, and that's where people will think, like, with the realms of touring, they're like, "Oh, it's a glamorous thing to do."
But the funny thing about that was because they were still really nervous, they put us on a bus and took us to a hotel in the city centre and said, "Because we don't know who you are, we've had this issue with the visas, you have to stay in this hotel tonight. No two ways about it." And we're like, "You know what, just fucking sort it out." But it turns out the hotel we're in is like super top-notch 5-star luxury hotel.
Oh shit.
Owned by the government, and they use it to put all their top-ranking officials and army generals and everything in.
And you guys in Cradle of Filth.
Well, this was on the Halloween tour. So we're in this hotel, and it turns out the same night the president was staying in the hotel, and it's like they think we're a security risk, so they've put us in the same hotel as the president.
So they think you're a security risk. So as a resolve of that, they put you in the same hotel as the president because you're a security risk.
It's just mental.
Oh my god.
But yeah, and it's an adventure. I mean, somebody once said to me that touring is a life of adventure and adversity,
all slammed together at once.
Yeah.
But
yeah, going back the second time, going with Cradle of Filth was just fucking nuts. The promoter was a bit dodgy. We try to think what gig it was. I think it was either Bogota or Cali, again, Colombia. About 15 minutes into the gig, mosh pit started. That's fair enough.
Yeah.
It's a metal gig, it's a mosh pit. The army were doing security, and the guy in charge had never done a metal gig before, and he thought the mosh pit was a riot starting. So in a sports hall, they started to fire tear gas into the crowd while we were still on stage.
Oh my god.
There's nowhere for it to go.
There's
Luckily,
nowhere for that to go indoors, mate.
Adrian, the drummer,
who was Swedish, had done Swedish National Service, and as soon as he got a single whiff of it, he knew exactly what it was, and we got everybody off stage. But it was just horrific to watch the kids.
Oh, fuck yeah, of course. Well, Adrian played for Paradise Lost for a bit, didn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw him when he was doing that tour. That was a couple of years ago. He was great.
Yeah.
He was great. Yeah, that was just after his time of Cradle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think anybody stayed with Cradle particularly long.
Yeah, so I heard. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, there's a story that's told. The first thing I ever did with Cradle, they were doing a weekend, like 2 gigs in Scandinavia. Sorry. And I got asked to tag along just to help out. And we'd done the first show, back to the hotel, and everybody's kind of sitting at one big long table in the restaurant. And Danny, being Danny, decides he wants some attention.
Yeah.
So he starts throwing food about in the restaurant. And because I didn't know him, I kind of leaned over the table and I very politely explained to him what was going to happen if he kept doing it. And he stormed off in the huff. And about half an hour later, their manager phoned me and went, "What exactly did you say to him?" So I told them, and they went, "Probably the right thing to say.
To the right person.
Try not to do it again." I just told him that I would beat the shit out of him if he didn't start behaving himself.
Why do people do it though? You know, it's like, come on, man, all that shit's been done. Just play a good show and be a nice person.
Yeah. Well, it's weird. I've noticed over the years, I've seen it with a lot of people, that the whole getting completely fucking blind drunk before you go on stage. I've seen it so many times, and I correctly or not, I've got a theory that a lot of people in that position, they love the attention, pardon me, but they're terrified of it at the same time. Yeah, they're terrified of getting up onto stage in case they don't get the attention that they want. So they drink to compensate for that, to take the fear away. But a lot of the time that makes them act like
twats.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, you see it a lot, man.
Might not be right.
Well, no, dude, I've done. I mean, like, I haven't done anything like on that scale, on, you know, any stadium stuff. But when I've done, you know, small tour managing and teching and all sorts of bits like that, and it's not necessarily the bands I'm working with, but I mean, one of the things about being a road dog, as you know, is that you're a fly on the wall to a lot of shit.
Oh yeah.
You know, and people forget that there's other people around that aren't part of your crew, which can happily go and tell someone, "I've just fucking heard this and seen that." You know, it's like I was doing something at a festival, a really, was it Stone Death Festival? Can't remember where around they call it now. Really good bunch of guys that run it, and I was teching for the Amorettes and stuff, and Inglorious were playing, and Nathan James obviously had just done this video of going, "Don't fucking," you know, doing it all that, like being completely hammered on Facebook Live and stuff. And I was like, "Oh well, you know, if he's about, you know, I'll see from my own self what the guy's like." Sure enough, it was a pretty accurate description of what it was like, because he came off this bus and came into like the artist liaison area as I was kind of walking out, and he had like shades on inside. And then there was like this older woman like running behind him holding like holdalls, and then like trying to hold it, and he's like, "Yeah, if you could just keep up with me, please, that would be great." That type of thing. It's like, dude, like, you know, come on.
Yeah.
You know, not even Freddie did that. You know, come on, dude. You know, it's like, it's funny, isn't it? I find the bigger the person, the nicer they are.
Yeah.
Because, you know, there's a hard work ethic and they understand people for a start.
Yeah.
The people that are kind of bobbling around on a lower key that think that again they're owed something, they're just not nice people.
But then you get to a stage where they become almost too big, and they're surrounded by too many people who, because they're so big and because they want their jobs, they never say no to them.
Yeah, then there's a flip on it, isn't there?
It's another thing that I've said for a while. It's like a giant circle. You start off with bands who don't know how the system works, because there is a system, and if you whether you want to think you're being a rebel or whatever, you have to play the system to make it work.
Mm-hmm.
There's a certain point where you start where you don't know how the system works. So you come in with an attitude thinking that's what people expect, and you're just going to fuck it all up.
Yeah.
As you travel around the circle, you get about halfway around and you get the bands like the guys from Clutch or Real Big Fish, or these bands who are out doing 250, sometimes 300 shows a year.
Yeah.
They're professionals. They know what they're doing.
Yeah.
They get in, they pleasant to everybody. They do whatever they can to make the show work, to get some money in the pocket, and they go away and they do it all again the next day.
Yeah.
Because they know how the system works. They know it's never going to be perfect. They know there's always going to be hiccups, but that's just the way it happens. Yeah. That's just life.
Exactly.
Then you get further around, all the way around to the end of the circle, where you're in that position where people don't want to say no to you, and you don't realize what's going on. It's almost like you're losing touch with the real world.
Mm.
And it becomes disjointed from reality again.
Yeah. Have you worked with a lot of people that have been that exact thing?
A little bit. Nothing major like that. I think the more I saw of that, the more it made me think I was better off without it.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. Yeah, dipping
because it's very easy to get sucked into that.
Oh yeah, yeah. I bet. Yeah. Well, a couple of years ago, I was like, it's a funny thing, right? Because as an artist, I understand how it works. So I'm, like you said, I'm in that kind of thing of like, I get it. That's just the way things are. Okay, you do deal with some twats sometimes. You just have to go like, all right, okay, whatever. We crack on. So using that knowledge when I go out and I'm on the other side of that, I can kind of have a bit of leeway with the odd artist where I'm like, I get it. You're tired or whatever. It's cool. I'll give you a bit of, a bit of a weave. But yeah, the more, if you're good at what you do, as you know, you just get asked to do bigger and bigger stuff.
Yeah.
And the further up the ladder you get, it doesn't become any easier. Just because, yeah, maybe the work might be bigger, paycheck might be better, but there is an element where it gets convoluted. People get, like you said, there's a massive disconnect with like reality and what they think really happens, and you see that a lot. I see it a lot in TV. I mean, me and my partner Beck, we barely ever watch TV, and all those like reality shows of like, like Love Island and all that bollocks.
No idea who any of these people are.
Yeah, I don't fucking have a clue.
They're celebrities, apparently.
Yeah, well, they're not though, are they? They're just flash in the pans, and you see it now. Like they suddenly have this like weird, unfiltered, thing of what they think reality is and what's happening to them.
Yeah.
It's bizarre. And then, like I bet you, it's almost like they're caricatures of the people they once were.
Yes.
And it's weird, isn't it? And no wonder like you get like people watching that shit and then treating people badly in real life because they think that's kind of what you have to do or what there's got to be. It's bizarre, absolutely bizarre. You get it a lot with like the YouTuber generation.
Yeah.
you know, there's a few YouTubers that I know. They're lovely, loveliest people ever. And there's a couple where it's like, who are you, man?
But it goes back to kind of the same thing. It's people who are desperate for attention.
Mm. Yeah,
And
absolutely.
there's a line that they cross that's when it just all becomes too much.
Yeah, I think it's like, you know, it's like you pick. I picked up a guitar and I was like, man, this is it. I'm not, my brain is not designed to be, sat in academia. Ironically, I'm now a lecturer, but it's in music still. It's not really the same thing as like teaching GCSE maths, is it? But you pick up an instrument and you're like, fucking hell, this is good, and then you're like, oh, I'm actually all right at this, and you start naturally progressing through things. But I wonder where there's that point where some people, they've had that, because otherwise they wouldn't have like persevered with it. But then, like you said, there's that fine line and it gets crossed, and then that side of their passion, or the heart and soul of where it started, just gets overtaken and flooded with attention.
Yeah.
And I wonder where that point is, where it's kind of like that stupid adage of like, too much is not enough.
Well, there comes a certain point, and I've seen it in a lot of people, that you don't know if people are being nice to you because they want to be nice to you, or they're being nice to you because they think they can get something out of you. They think they can make money off you. They think they can use you to further their career.
Oh yeah, dude. Yeah. I mean,
some people just crave the attention, and they're happy to just kind of ignore all of that.
yeah, it's weird, isn't it? I mean, I'm a fucking nobody, and I'm cool with that. But like, it's amazing how some people give the perception of things you're doing that you're something else.
Yeah.
And they forget that, I'm just a bloke who has some friends that are in the industry, and I happen to be in the same industry or some shit, as simple as that, right? And then, you see it where people go like, oh, start talking to you weird or something, and it is weird. It's like when you're on tour and you're like a couple of dates in, and there's that thing of like, oh man, they're in town and they're doing that thing. It's like, dude, I was working with you backstage 2 years ago, now I'm on stage playing rather than, with you doing backline tech or something like that. And they start talking to you weird. And you're like, dude, we shared couple of beers. Like, what's going on? It's like, I'm no different, mate. It's a really weird thing. Or you get it the other way, where you've worked with people, and kind of probably, we're adding to what we're saying there, but they get up the tree a bit, and then they start talking to you weird, and you're like, whoa, mate. I remember, you know, you back in the day. You're not like that. And what's going on? That's a common thing that I see from a few things. It's like, whoa, mate. You're
People seem desperate to either push you up or pull you down.
Oh, dude, yeah. Well, I've had my fair share of that in the last year.
The people that you can rely on the most are the people who are just there.
Yeah.
Who don't want anything.
Yeah.
But that's few and far between. I mean, I'm quite happily say to people, I've got an awful lot of acquaintances, but very few what I would call proper friends.
Yeah, same.
I know an awful lot of people, but
yeah, big time. Yeah, it's interesting that it's like, well, I mean, social media is a fucking great example of how that gets so fucking, again, convoluted with like that juxtaposition of reality versus, because people go like, oh my god, like you're out there doing this and that person, and it's like, oh, they're your friend. It's like, no. And some people have it where they're a fan of your band and stuff, and they, you know, there is a lot of fans that I have of me that I would call like, yeah, you're a cool person, and I like you. I'll happily chat to you as a friend, and you're a good acquaintance. You know, one or two have become really good friends. You know, things like that. But it's, you know, I don't follow a band and get a reply off Instagram of someone and think, fucking hell, he's my mate now.
Yeah.
You know, and that's another thing. I think people on the other end of that who aren't the artist getting the attention, they are also have like a 1982 groupie mindset, but in social media. You know what I mean? It's really funny. Has it changed? I mean, has that stuff changed so much from your end? Because obviously, when you've, you know, been out and done all that stuff previously, before all of MySpace.
It happened. I mean, look back to like the heyday, the 60s and 70s. It was happening then. It's just much more amplified now because of it's so much more in your face.
Yeah.
And you've got so much easy access to the information.
Mm.
And it becomes, for the artist, it becomes, well, we need to put something out on our Instagram every day to keep people's attention.
Mm.
We need to do something really cool so that people keep following us.
Yeah.
I don't know. If I had an answer to it, I'd be making a lot of money.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think totally, it just the older I get, the more kind of jaded and grumpier you get.
You do though, don't you? Yeah.
There's you see the younger and younger and younger people coming in all the time.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm very, very jaded from playing live at the moment. I think I will be for a few years.
Yeah.
Like I've got no intention of playing live. You know, I'm really enjoying writing.
Yeah.
You know, and that type of thing. But the idea of standing on stage with a guitar and, you know, it's just like, fuck, I just not now.
Yeah.
You know, can't see it happening for years for me personally. You know, just on that premise of, you know, I think it's, you know how much work goes into it. People don't see it.
Yeah.
You know, hours, like months, sometimes weeks, just to be on stage for 55 minutes or whatever. You know, and they're like, yeah, of course, and you blow people's minds and it sounds great and you do all this stuff and it's, you know, for that time, small fraction, like it's worth it, you know. But I think, you know, which would be my next question, you know, with that stuff, like it's definitely jaded me. There's no two ways about it, you know. In fact, if it wasn't for my partner Beck, I probably wouldn't be playing guitar at all right now. Do you know what I mean? So I'm lucky I've got that where I can, you know, still source and write and things and feel good about it. But yeah, the idea of playing live is like, nah, not for me at all, you know. And so how do you think
a live gig is like the tip of an iceberg?
Yeah.
It's the bright shiny bit at the top.
Yeah.
But you don't see everything else that's under the water.
Where it's like that duck scenario, isn't it? You know, the calm duck like that, but underneath it's like, whoa, you know.
It's like with all the gigs being shut down now, and people forget. I mean, there's a whole campaign, the We Make Events campaign going on at the moment, trying to raise awareness and support the crew people who are out of work. But you don't realise, if you look at something, most people's experience of a gig now, the average person in the street going to a gig, they're going to probably an arena show.
Yeah. Yeah.
Where you've got 5 people on stage in the band playing for an hour and a half. On some shows, you're looking at, between local crew and touring crew, up to 400 people.
Yeah.
that have put that show together.
Yeah.
Not talking about managers and record company and all the other stuff in the background, just to do that one show.
Yeah.
And people have got no idea. They don't think about it. It's like, well, how do you think all that fucking stuff flies up in the air?
Yeah. Well, it's like, you know, I say to people, I was like, you know, imagine setting up a business and then closing it, but it has to be the most successful business ever. And then you close it on a happy retirement fund. And they're like, yeah. And I was like, well, you have 6 hours to do that at night.
Yeah.
They're like, how do you do it? And I go, you don't. It takes hundreds of people to do it. It can't be done by one. It can't be done by a few small people, you know. And that's the thing, isn't it? You know, and especially when, you know, it's interesting, you know, when you see people who are in the industry or they're artists or bands or whatever, and they go, yeah, I wouldn't mind doing some teching. And I'm like, you sure? Sure about that? You know, how's your back, mate? You know,
Yeah.
you know, do you sleep well? Do you know how to sleep anywhere? You know, it's like it's one of those things where I remember that's one of the funniest things Ace ever said to me. I said, before I went out on my first tour, I was like, oh, have you got any advice? And he went, learn to sleep anywhere at any time.
Yeah.
And I was like, what? And he goes, by the third day, you'll know what I meant. The third day, I was like, it's like that, you know, while the other band are sound checking, hood up in the corner like that.
Yeah.
Get a quick half an hour in, you know, things like that. Yeah.
I once fell asleep on the back of the stage at the Ministry of Sound in London. Like literally on the stage against the back wall in the loud room where it's like 140 something dB.
Yeah, decibels. Oh, yeah.
Just I hadn't slept for like 3 days. But it does. I mean, I still do it now. Get in the car if Antonio's driving. If it's more than 10 minutes, I'll be asleep.
You're out, yeah. Yeah, I'm the same. Me and Beck went to Brighton for my birthday last year. And from where we live, it's only like a 55-minute, 60-minute drive. And in 20 minutes, I was like, you know, just like, you know, because it's like, oh, I'm not driving. Like, bang, I'm out cold, you know. You know, but if I try and go to bed normally, my brain's like on. But it's funny, as soon as you're in like a car or something like that, like if I'm on a plane, I'm like, bang, out.
Yeah.
If I'm at home in bed, my brain's going, hey, do you remember when you were 11 and that kid said something really nasty to you? Let's think about that for 4 hours. Please no.
You need to wire up some sort of weird device that just gently rocks your bed.
Yeah. Maybe I could get our 2 and 2.5-year-old just to sit there and like do that, you know, at the bottom of the bed.
Yeah, but at the same time, that's usually accompanied with daddy, 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 daddy.
Well, the new one now is get up now.
Yeah.
Get up now. Oh, it's brilliant. It's brilliant, isn't it?
I usually get woken up now with, where's your iPad?
Which... Oh, man.
It's like, it's wherever you left it last night.
Wherever you left it, mate. Yeah. Oh, Christ, man.
But it does. Okay. It's that whole thing. It's another, like what I was saying, a lot of people just can't handle touring and it burns them out.
Yeah. People you can't prep for touring. That's the thing. That's the weird thing about it, is like you can rehearse and, you know, get yourself into like match fit, you know, but you see people who are great singers, great guitar players.
Yeah.
By the third or fourth night, that's the make or break moment.
Yeah.
Like the third or fourth night. And if they're having troubles on that third or fourth night, it's like you're not cut out for this.
Yeah.
You know.
I mean, using the same example, if you're on an arena tour and you're working, different departments are slightly different, but like from my experience as the production manager, you're the first one and the last one out.
Yeah.
You're in there with the lighting guys and the riggers. So this is why these things are done. If you're doing an arena tour, you tend to never do more than 3 days without a day off.
Yeah.
Because you're in there at 6, 7 in the morning. You got to set everything up. You got to be on the ball all day. show happens, show comes down at 11 o'clock, say 10:30. It's 2, sometimes 3 in the morning before that gets out. And you've literally got time to get a shower, climb into your bunk, get 3, if you're lucky, hours sleep, and then you're up and you're doing it all again.
Yeah. And that's if you haven't got a noisy bus
Yeah.
of people having like, oh, that was a great night, let's celebrate, you know, or someone's birthday.
Well, on the
or
bigger
some
tours,
shit.
that's how you organise your buses, you see.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, it does. It takes its toll on you.
Yeah. So do you think you'll be going back out on the road when the world returns to normal?
No. Having family changes everything.
Yeah, that's it. I've got no desire to play live.
Yeah.
No desire.
Yeah. I mean, like the picture of the thing, it's a week. That's like a boy's long weekend holiday.
Yeah, that's like a brotherhood.
Because you do that week, and by the time you get to the end of it, as I said earlier on, you're like, right, that's enough. I want my own bed again.
Done with that. Yeah, yeah.
I
Especially driving JS around.
I don't want to deal with any more of Claydon's shit.
Yeah.
Well, I know this sounds horrible because we're saying all this shit about him, but I do.
No, it's only done in jest, isn't it? Well, it's like, you know, I remember, like, I think it was like the 4th night in, and we're heading up to Manchester, you know, and that horrific load in.
Yeah.
You know, going up to the Academy 3. And I played there a couple of weeks afterwards, funny enough, and I was just like, oh my God, not this place again. But yeah, it was like, I remember it was running late or something like that because of where we're staying from, because we had to take different routes from where the tour bus was going. I was like, oh my God. And I was doing vocal warm-ups with him in the van, you know, and he's like, there's no sound check, where, you know, it's gone because of whatever reason, you know, and it's like, okay, you know, like kids are there going like, Mom, I want to, you know, all this stuff. And it's like, okay, like you know what I mean? And like all this stuff. So
hang on a sec.
It was beautiful chaos.
Hang on, mate.
Kids are great, man. They're so good. They're so goddamn funny, man.
Yeah, I think there's so many people that I have Zoom meetings with that all know Hamish now because he just appears. If it's not him, it's the cat who's currently asleep there.
Oh yeah, man.
Who at some point will appear there.
Yeah. Oh, it's so funny. It's like when I was interviewing Zach Miller from the Blood Republic. Amelia was like, can I come and say hello? And I was like, yeah, I'll give you a call in. And before I had a chance to do that, it was just like this bang through the door, like just like, she was like, hi. And he was like, you're right. Like, he wasn't like, he's not obviously like gifted with kids and stuff and didn't know how to interact. So he was just like, hello. She's like, you're famous. Oh, it's really
well.
funny.
I suppose it's good that they if they're growing up with that, then they won't be as enamored by all the bullshit when they get older.
Yeah, that's kind of my hope with it. It's funny. It's like, I bet you get it. People go, "Oh, are you gonna have your kids get into the industry and stuff?" And I'm like, no. They're all gonna be lawyers.
Yeah.
Or a vet.
Yeah.
You know, it's something that yeah. Well, I'll tell you what, there's Smash's final thought here, where it's, where do you think the industry is going to go? And as we talk, this is March the 25th, 2021. So where the fuck is the industry going to go from here, dude?
I think the industry, the business side of it, will do everything it can to keep it going the way it's going.
Yeah.
Because that's what makes the money.
Yeah.
I love the approach that a lot of artists are taking now, which is to bypass that completely. You can't make money selling records anymore.
No.
It's impossible. You have to do something different. Bands who are grasping that, who have got the bands who control themselves and don't have to follow the system. They might not be millionaires, but some of the stuff that's coming out is great because there's no pressure. You can, it's almost going back to the same thing. There's no, not that there's no shit filter, but it's like last year, well, starting 2019 into last year, Underworld did a thing called Drift, which was every month they just released 4 tracks, completely free.
Right.
I'll go on the website, download it. And it's a lot of stuff that probably wouldn't have made it onto an album to be released by a record company.
B-cuts.
Some great stuff on there.
Yeah.
65 Days of Static at the moment, to me, are the most interesting band to watch because they're never going to be huge.
Yeah.
Which is a sad thing. But they did a similar thing where I think it was 30 quid for the year. And they released an EP on the first of the month every month.
That's amazing.
Now, it's the same thing. It's a lot of stuff that wouldn't have got past the system and ever been released by a record company. Some of it, you think, that's literally just something that's been unfinished.
Yeah, and they've put it out for shits, yeah.
Yeah. Some of it was amazing, and they're doing a similar thing now, which is literally just in the process of starting, called Wreckage Systems, where and it sounds like one of those really pretentious art things, but I've got in on the ground floor and listened to some of it. They're basically setting up a system that's using AI and algorithms to automatically generate what I would call is like soundtrack music.
Right.
And it's literally going to run 24 hours a day. And you can log on to it any time and listen to it as much or as little as you want.
That's fucking nuts.
But that's all completely free. But to pay for that, they've done a patron thing where you pay them. I think the bottom's like £5 a month. But if you're paying that £5 a month, they'll do the same like they did before, where every month or so you'll get a new proper release.
Yeah. Yeah.
But to me, that's a great idea because they're not being constrained by a record company. They've got complete creative freedom.
Yeah.
But they've got enough people that will sign up for that to give them not a lot of money, but a wage that's going to pay them to keep doing it.
Yes. That's the system I've made. The exact same thing. You know, the only way I'm able to continue recording music, I can create music till the cows come home. You know, I can write it all day long.
Yeah.
But my passion is writing and having people hear it. But there's only one way of hearing it on a standard where I believe, you know, I was saying this to Chris Sheldon, actually. It was funny. I was like, dude, since I worked with you, I'm stuffed. You know, I'm going to have to work with you for the rest of my life. You know, because the standard is like up here, and then anything below it is like, well, this is pointless.
Yeah.
You know, so that's kind of where I'm at with that, you know. So
but I think in general, being from a slightly older generation, I'm still a big fan of albums. I'll put on an album, listen to the whole thing.
Yeah, so do I. Yeah, but getting the whole story.
More and more nowadays, music is being consumed in smaller chunks.
Fast food.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's fast food.
So I think if people want to keep the attention of the younger audience, who are the ones who are consuming it, you have to figure out how to pay for it. But B, more frequent releases of music is going to be the way to go, because if you don't, this is part of the same thing. It's feeding into that desire for attention. If you don't keep waving something in front of their face, they're going to drift off and go do something else because they don't have the attention span for it anymore.
Yeah, I mean, I say it to students all the time. I was like, you release your album Friday morning, and by 12 o'clock, it's old.
Yeah.
So there's no point in releasing 10 tracks because they'll all be old. Maybe over 10 months,
Yeah.
then they'll still be relevant. That's kind of that.
That's why the other two examples. I still try to do one new album, one piece of music that I haven't heard before every week.
Yeah, same.
Whether it's
I'm always
recommendations
discovering.
from somebody or just going online and finding something. The way that the 65 Days of Static thing worked, knowing that every month on the first of the month, I had something to look forward to. I had a new piece of music
Yeah,
from a band that I loved.
yeah,
It's like being a kid again. You get excited.
totally, dude. Yeah,
You're getting excited about a release.
yeah.
Now, people putting an album out, and it's like, all right, the album's coming out in June, but we're going to release one track now and then one track there. And it's like, by the time the album's released, you've heard it all.
Yeah, you've heard it all. Yeah. And it's that. I suppose that's it, really, isn't it? So yeah, it's interesting how I think it will evolve the industry. I think the live thing with that, well, I mean, it's not, it's not something I want to touch for quite a long period of time. I think my time in the Dolls, where towards the end of it was really kind of tainted with like just stupid shit that would happen live,
Yeah.
And then you just go like, fucking hell, man. Like, I mean, like I'm relatively young in terms of some things, but I'm now on that line where it's like, I don't want to put up with that shit anymore. Do you know what I mean?
I mean, there's always going to be an audience for a live show.
Yes, there is. Yeah.
Because from an audience's point of view, that's the big bang for them.
Yeah.
The problem with that becomes, because people can't make money selling records anymore, the show's the only source of income. So you want to do bigger and better shows all the time.
Yeah.
To make that happen, the show costs more. To make that happen, the ticket price has got to be higher. And a lot of these things are pricing themselves out now. I mean, you're looking, what was the last big one that I was horrified at? U2, I think the cheapest ticket you could get was 75 quid.
For fuck's sake. It's bullshit.
Going up to something like 400 and something quid.
Some people don't even earn 75 quid in a day. You know, it's like, you can't be, you can't, ironically, a band like that have fed into everything they hate.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It's, oh man, but Christ alive. But well, it was awesome. We could probably chat for about 4 days.
Yes.
And
I'll leave you with one thing.
Go on then.
I've been asked quite a lot what my advice is for young musicians starting out in the business and coming up. And it's always the same thing.
Right.
No matter how much money they wave at you, do not sell your publishing rights.
100%.
Keep them, because that is your product.
That's publishing is where it's at, and that won't change.
No,
that won't change.
And that's usually the first thing to go before you've got a record deal.
Yeah,
Somebody will say, "Well, we'll give you 25 grand for the rights to all your songs." As soon as you do that, you don't own those songs anymore.
No, they're not yours. No, you're a puppet playing them. Yeah, absolutely.
Keep your creative content.
Keep the creative content and keep your publishing rights.
Yes.
Absolutely, man.
And the second most important rule: don't be a dick. It's as simple as that.
I say it all the time. Be a nice person, dude.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Be a people person, people.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Yeah, it's because if you're on the way up and you're an asshole, you never know if you're going to need them when you're on the way down. And if you're being an asshole, no one's going to be there to catch you.
Exactly.
Oh man, well, Al, it was great catching up with you, man. Thanks for spending the time to jump on the show. And
it's quite all right. I've got to do bath time now, so
yeah, absolutely. What, for yourself?
If I'm not wiping Claydon's arse, I'm wiping my son's arse.
Yeah, fuck yeah. Well, I look forward to that at some point. Al, thank you so much, dude. It's wicked
Take
to
it
see
easy,
you
mate. I'll
again.
speak to you soon.
All the best, dude. Huge love.
Hey everyone, thank you so much for watching. You know what to do. Hit subscribe, hit the notification bell. Really help us out. And don't forget, you can also support my brand new record out on Patreon now at patreon.com/Nikki Smash Official.